Good evening, viewers and listeners of Concerned Citizens Media. Thank you again for joining me. Today is April the 24th, 2023. I have several news updates to share with you. I will start with a press release from Oromo Liberation Army on the planned peace talk in Tanzania. Uh, then I have other news to share with you on Sudan and UN, United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres a call for ending the conflict in Sudan. Also, Deputy Prime Minister Demek Emekonen's visit to Tanzania and other three countries. Plus also Adagnu Camera, Deru the Hararu, uh, excellent job for the for the Tigray war victims. Excuse me. Okay, I will start with a press statement from OLA regarding peace negotiations. It's read like this: the Oromo Liberation Army (OLA) acknowledges the statements made by Abiy Ahmed and can confirm that the Ethiopian regime has accepted our terms for peace negotiations, which include the involvement of an independent third-party mediator and a commitment to maintain transparency throughout the process. This is a crucial and a positive step towards establishing a lasting peace in the region. However, the OLA strongly objects to the reference of our organizations as Shani. Our organization's name is the Oromo Liberation Army, and any other designation is incorrect and an attempt to misrepresent our identity and objectives. We urge the regime to cease disseminating this kind of disinformation. Since the beginning of this conflict, the OLA has consistently called for peaceful dialogue as the only viable solution. We have always maintained that a military solution would not bring about the desired outcomes for the Oromo people or the broader population. It is heartening to see the regime finally come to the same realization. The OLA remains unwavering in its commitment to engaging in a constructive dialogue and working towards a peaceful resolution that addresses the grievances and aspirations of the Oromo people. We are hopeful that this development makes the beginning of a transformative chapter in our pursuit of justice, equality, and self-determination. The OLA strives to reach an agreement that holds both parties accountable, paving the way for a democratic society and a sustainable, enduring peace. Victory to the Oromo and all oppressed peoples. OLF, OLA High Command, April 23rd, 2023. So that is uh, a response from OLF for the peaceful, for the planned peaceful uh, arrangement, which will start on 25th, I think tomorrow, in Tanzania. So that's a good one. That's a good one, and we are encouraged by this acceptance. From the federal government side, I have this one from Addis Standard. It says Ethiopia's foreign minister arrives in Tanzania. Ethiopia's deputy prime minister and the minister of foreign affairs, Demek Emekonnen, arrived in Tanzania this afternoon, state media said. The news came a day after Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed said peace negotiations with the Oromo Liberation Army will start in Tanzania on Tuesday, but the state media didn't mention the details on the said negotiations and instead reported that the MECA has started a visit to the 4 African countries including Comoros, Burundi, and Uganda. The MECA has also spoke with Tanzanian President Samia Suluhu Hassan Zanzibar, the Indian Ocean City today on bilateral and environmental issues. Yesterday, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed said peace talks between the government and the Oromo Liberation Army is planned to kickstart on Tuesday, 25th April in Tanzania. He said this during a live broadcast at an ongoing event in Addis Ababa, recognizing stakeholders who played roles in ending the 2 years war between the federal government and the Tigrayan forces with a cessation of hostilities agreement signed in Pretoria in November 2022. So is it just for the visit of, or is it for as a part of this peace talk, the Mekonnen arriving in Tanzania? So it's not clear. The other issue is not clear is who will represent the federal government of Ethiopia and who will represent OLA. So it should be clear, like in the case of TPLF, there is a delegation assigned by Ethiopian government to handle the 2 years war in Tigray, that time mentioned. So this time, nothing, this may be just a visit of 4 countries, we don't know. What about OLA side? We don't have the names so far, only the press statement accepting this invitation. So there's a lot of details missing, and we need the delegation. Both sides, they should announce in the same way they did for Tigray war. So we need to have that one from both sides. Some media are reporting that Jal Marro or Kumsa Driba will attend the Tanzania meeting, but I don't have it on this press release who will attend, how many people in the delegation from Ethiopia and from Oromo Liberation Army side. So that should be clear. The other thing is I heard, Prime Minister is talking no more war. But on the other hand is there is intensive military preparation to wage a war against OLA, and also against in the Amara region against the Fano militia and Amara special forces. So if you are calling for peace, it should work all over the country. So don't play around, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed. If you are, for sustainability, for peaceful resolution, for stability in the country, don't play game. You are calling for peaceful resolution, and you are also preparing your army, spending all the country's limited resources on, in the preparation for war. So it should be clear, and the war must end, as you said. So nobody benefit from the war. So keep your words, keep your promise. You missed so many promises since 2018. So please, peaceful resolution and accommodation, give and take to settle the conflict in Oromia. It's a bloody war, very serious one. Destroy life, especially in Walaga, Guji, Borana, and Shoa area. In Shoa. So we'll see. We'll see. And I don't know why OLA doesn't take Dr. Tsagai Ararsa and others as an advisor. These individuals, like especially Dr. Tsagai Ararsa, can be, a useful resource in handling this peace talk, or to avoid traps, to avoid cheating, misleading, and to fulfill the demands of the Oromo people. Why the Oromos are raised their arms against the government? What are the issues, the core issues? So if when I heard Tsagai Ararsa today talking about what are the demands of the Oromo people, what the government is looking for, disarming, which is no starter. That's the first thing the government Abiy Ahmed is looking for, disarmament. Before disarmament, the issues must be resolved. The parties must be comfortable on both sides. So OLA should consider Dr. Tsagai Ararsa and others to make them, part of their team. I hope so. They will listen to me and use Dr. Tsagai Ararsa as part of the delegation. Okay. This is about the late artist Zerihun Wodajo, Oromia Region, to honor veteran artist Zerihun Wodajo with Heroes Farewell. Again, thanks to Addis Standard. The government of the regional state of Oromia has announced the establishment of a committee to organize a hero's farewell for the renowned artist Zerihun Wodajo, who died on Saturday night, 22 April in India, where he was receiving medical treatment. According to the Oromia Communication Bureau, the burial ceremony of the late great artist would be conducted in a high manner over the coming days based on a schedule to be announced by the committee. Zerihun Wodajo, who had been in the art for nearly half a century, was known and loved among the wider Oromo people for his resistance songs and unwavering commitment to the Oromo people's struggle for freedom. He had been imprisoned and tortured several times during the Derg and EPRDF regimes. Shimallis Abdisa, president of the Oromia region, in his tribute to the veterans musician said Zerihun's name would be remembered forever through his works that transcend generations. Even at times when everything was not convenient as it is today, artist Zerihun Wodajo paid heavy sacrifice out of his love for art and the Oromo people, and have contributed his fair share in promoting the Oromo art and strengthening the unity of the Oromo people, Shimallis wrote on Facebook. Mayor of Addis Ababa, Adagnu Camera, on her part said, Zerihun Wodajo is someone who elevated with a beautiful art the plights, victories, aspirations, and happiness of the Oromo people, and that he will hold a significant place in the history of the Oromo people. Zerihun Wodajo's music has been a source of inspiration and solace for the Oromo people, and his voice will forever remain etched in our collective memory. His songs not only entertained but also educated and enlightened our community about our culture, history, and the ongoing struggle for freedom and justice. The rebel force Oromo Liberation Army, OLA, said in a statement. Zerihun Wodajo is survived by his widow and 3 children, as I reported on it yesterday. So rest in peace, Zerihun Wodajo, and we greatly appreciated your contribution for our cause. This one, good news for Tigray region, Tigray people impacted by 2-year war. It says, again, thanks to Addis Standard, bus transport to Tigray via Afar resumes. Route through Amhara region remains inaccessible. Inland public transportation connecting the Tigray region with the capital Addis Ababa halted due to the 2-year war in northern Ethiopia was restarted on Saturday as the first bus operated by private bus transport operator Salam Bus reached Addis Ababa on board 51 travelers. Brane Kabede, Salam Bus Mekelle branch manager, told Addis Standard that the bus safely arrived in the capital after traveling 1,083 kilometers via the Afar region, adding that the bus operator will be dispatching one bus from Mekelle to Addis Ababa and vice versa on a daily basis. He said that the company is still waiting for the de facto route via the Amhara region, which is only 783 kilometers and shorter compared to the Afar one, to be open. The Addis Ababa Mekelle road via the Amhara region has been closed off following rising tension between the Amhara and the Tigray region long before the start of the war in November 2020. According to Brane, the tariff of transportation from Mekelle to Addis Ababa via the Afar region costs 2,052 birr, while the road via the Amhara region costs only 1,488 birr. In his remarks during a live event in Addis Ababa on Sunday afternoon, which was organized to recognize stakeholders who played roles in ending the 2 years war between the federal government and the Tigrayan forces, Getachew Reda, Tigray's interim president confirmed the resumption on Saturday of road transport to and from Tigray via the Afar region. He appealed to the president of the Amara regional state, Yilik Al-Kafala, PhD, who was in attendance of the event, to facilitate the opening of the road crossing the Amara region and urged restoration of normalcy between the neighboring states. The resumption of road transport to Tigray is the latest episode of the restoration of basic service, including resumption of air travel, opening up of banking services, and the restoration of telecommunications following the permanent cessation of hostilities agreement signed on 2nd November between the Ethiopian government and the Tigrayan authorities. So that's a good thing. But the challenge is the road through the Amara region is tough, and the Amara region is due to the disarmament issue of the Fano and Amara militia. It is still very tough. Today, ETO 360 reported that the capital city Bahar Dar is in a locked-in state. No activities in that city, and it's like a sit-in protest going on, and the authorities sealing stores and the businesses for not opening. So it's a very tough one, very tough one. Or ETO 360 also reported there is a war happening in Walqait area. The reported TPLF fighters are trying to retake this place from the Amara and Fano militias. So that is the update. The situation is tough. I hope, since we are talking about peace, we hope everywhere will be peace and no exemption in Ethiopia. This is about updates on Sudan from U.S. State Department press statement, Anthony J. Blinken, Secretary of State. Following intense negotiations over the past 48 hours, the Sudanese Armed Forces, SAF, and the Rapid Support Forces, RSF, have agreed to implement a nationwide ceasefire starting at midnight on April 24 to last for 72 hours. During this period, the United States urged the SAF and RSF to immediately and fully uphold the ceasefire. To support a durable end to the fighting, the United States will coordinate with regional and international partners and the Sudanese civilians stakeholders to assist in the creation of a committee to oversee the negotiation, conclusion, and implementation of a permanent cessation of hostilities and a humanitarian arrangement in Sudan. We will continue to work with the Sudanese parties and our partners towards the shared goal of a return to civilian government in Sudan. So that is from U.S. State Department. The last one. Men in army uniform kill 60 in Burkina Faso. The authorities in northern Burkina Faso say about 60 civilians have been killed in the village of Karma near the border with Mali. A local prosecutor said he had been notified of the attack on Friday, adding that it had been carried out by people dressed in army uniforms. He has appealed for information. Survivors Survivors told the AFP news agency that more than 100 people on motorbikes and pickup trucks had raided the village. An attack on Burkinabe army and volunteer forces took place in the same region near Ohugoya earlier last week, leaving around 40 dead and more than 30 injured. Thousands have been killed since Islamist militants started operating in the area since 2015. Credit BBC. Okay, so we will share some of the videos I selected for you from different media. So let me see. Okay, the first video is my appreciation for Adagnu Camera or Deru the Hararu, you might know, or that is really is a great service for humanity. This media owner Deru the Hararu or Adagnu Camera raised a fund. He conducted a raise fund to help the people in Tigray, you know, the victim of the 2-year war in Ethiopia. So he raised some funds and provide, about 1 million Ethiopian birr, according to this report. So they use that money and to purchase 10 stoves that is used to prepare Ethiopian injera. Also to purchase cooking oil, beverage, onions, and other food items for So that's really is a positive. Is when the social media is used to impact the lives of humanity. So that's Adagnu Camera deserve credit, deserve appreciation, and others also should learn how to use the social media for the good of the public. So that's why I just have this video, and I have other videos, including the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres' call for peaceful resolution for Sudan. Let's listen. It's in Tigray, that's the general sense, but I just want to show you the video.
ስለዚህ ዞሩ አዚና ኢና መስግን ጁዲ ፓርላሜንት ሚዲያ ላላው በመለኹም አተሓቢርኩም ላዕለ 5 ሰሪኩም እዚውን በደንብ ገዚና ረኪና ለና ሕዚ ግን ኣብ መለስ ካምፓሲና ዘለና ተሰንተ በሚና ረይና ተመረጡ
So that is how much he raised for these people impacted by the 2-year war. It's million Ethiopian birr. This is just basic common Ethiopian food injera. It's just a life-saving event, and that's why we need to appreciate. That's why we need to appreciate, you know, admire Adagnu Camera for doing this. Really.
Adagnu Camera Deru the Hararu Parliament Media Alawi Duty كانت كونكم أتحاوركم هذه بملس كامباس سركم من عسرت مغوغو ያው ራይውን ሰናይ ላዕሊን ሰናና ማለት እዩ ዓሰርት ያን መጎጎ ናትሰንከተለኒና ንርኢ ዘለና ማለት ዘነዴታት የንውን ነቶም ምንተ ህዝቦም ከትግራይ ዝቆሰሉ ለይትን ቀደም ንብዚ ናሰር ሓይላ ንርኢ ዘለና አዳኙ ካሜራ ዞሩ ጁንታ ይኸው ዓሰርተ መጎጎ መለስ ካምፓስ ሰሪኩሞ ጁዲ ሰምዕን ድሕራ ሓሊኻ ሕዚ መለስ ካምፓስ ኣለና عسرت مغوغو حدنا سنكتا ينزلوا عسرت مغوغو الملس كامباس مالك اللي زل جيران زلوا قال زل ديتات يقول لك كتر كم زول جيران هيك تليا كم تدري ينزلنا كاسي ينزلوا الذي زورو ادانيو كاميرا ني اواش ملس كامباس نتغلالا مس اورو مس يوبورتو مس بربريو تغلالا كبابي حدد 5 مليون يبوم ياو فاسقا معدي او دي بوعد كيركم نقوم بفتي هذا هذه ملس كامباس سلازلنا اي ملس كامباس بين الزارو نقوم كبرتي هذا لا بس انتم جيكان اول حق سودا
Okay, this is the Deru the Hararu Adagnu Camera social media activist played the part to save.
Mr. President, allow me to start my remarks with a few words.
And he should be appreciated. He should be encouraged and appreciated for using the social platform to encourage others and collect fund for the war victims in Tigray. Mallas campus, I think it's Mekelle University Mallas campus. So that's it's a big thing. It's a big thing. So we should take a lesson to use whatever social platform we are using to raise fund to help the victims. With whatever we can. That's very encouraging. And Adagnu Camera, really, you deserve major credit for for you standing with Tagarus. You are a real Tagaru now. You showed us with action, and you should be appreciated on humanitarian ground. Keep it up, Adagnu Camera or Deru the Hararu. Let's continue with the update with Antonio Guterres on Sudan,
where the situation continues to worsen. Since the start of fighting on 15 April, hundreds of people have been killed and thousands injured. The violence must stop. It risks a catastrophic conflagration within Sudan that could engulf the whole region and beyond. I strongly condemn the indiscriminate bombardment of civilian areas, including healthcare facilities. And I call on the parties to stop combat operations in densely populated areas and to allow unhindered humanitarian aid operations. Civilians must be able to access food, water, and other essential supplies and evacuate from combat zones. I am in constant contact with the parties to the conflict, and I've called on them to de-escalate tensions and to return to the negotiating table. We will continue our efforts with our partners to secure a permanent halt to the fighting as soon as possible. Working with humanitarian organizations on the ground, we are reconfiguring our presence in Sudan to enable us to continue supporting the Sudanese people. Let me be clear, the United Nations is not leaving Sudan. Our commitment is to the Sudanese people in support of their wishes for a peaceful and secure future. We stand with them at this terrible time. I've authorized the temporary relocation both inside and outside Sudan of some United Nations personnel and of families. I call on all Council members to exert maximum leverage with the parties to end the violence, restore order, and return to the path of the democratic transition. We must all do everything within our power to pull Sudan back from the edge of the abyss.
The going out of business price blitz is on at the weekend's only total furniture liquidation. Deeper discounts on every item in every department. We're slashing prices on reclining sofas and loves.
Well, it's an honor to have you all here. It really is. And I know you got a chance. The Vice President went down to see you. I'm sorry I couldn't be with her at the time, but you know, you're standing up for our kids. You're standing up for
so this is President Biden, and Vice President Kamala Harris meeting with I think that's Congress or representative in Tennessee who were fired by Republicans for standing with in solidarity with anti-gun protesters. Then again restored by the public anger to their position.
You know, legislation, so-called red flag laws. But I signed the most extensive gun legislation in 30 years. But what I'm more proud of is when I was a senator, I was able to lead the fight with Dianne Feinstein to block the assault weapons, and the number of cartridges could be in a magazine. I think we still have to do that. And but on so many issues, you've been out front, and you understand exactly what it's like. It's just tragic to see what's happening in your state in particular, your city, but also across the country. And you know, nothing's guaranteed by democracy. Every generation has to fight for it, and you all are doing just that. And so, you know, we have a lot to discuss. And with that, I know they're going to be really excited. But I'm going to ask the press to leave. Thank you.
Mr. President, what do you want to
I think maybe one more.
Boosting wind power generation in the North Sea and making it the world's biggest power plant.
Yeah, this is the last one.
This is the ultimate goal of the leaders and energy ministers of 9 countries with North Sea coastlines, plus Luxembourg, who gathered in the Belgian port of Ostend. The joint goal is to boost offshore wind power generation to 120 gigawatts by 2030, from just 30 gigawatts now and at least 300 gigawatts by the middle of the century. They all stress the urgency of reaching this goal as soon as possible.
the main topic here is not so much new commitments. The main topic is how do we get it to action? And that means that we need to standardize, we need to work better together, we need to synchronize the supply chains much better.
Funding and getting the project done through own EU sources are among the main challenges. China currently dominates the supply chain of critical components in the sector like batteries. And the US is heavily subsidizing green investments to boost the sector for itself.
The potential we have in North Sea in terms of offshore wind is huge. It is the best quality offshore wind in the world. And the amount of potential we have is enough to power current Europe electricity demand by 6 times. There's a huge potential there.
While the industry says the procedure for permits is too long when it comes to wind energy investments, the EU says it will make it easier so that they reach the renewable energy target of 42.5% of its energy mix by 2030.
D'abord, il signifie la capacité à produire tous ensemble de l'énergie décarbonée avec ce grand plan d'éolien offshore que nous annonçons et auquel nous contribuerons tous. Ensuite, il signifie notre volonté aussi de bâtir une filière qui produit justement ces fermes éoliennes offshore en Europe. La France y est très engagée.
The North Sea Summit was the second of its kind. After the 4 countries in its inaugural gathering last year, Belgium, Denmark, Germany and the Netherlands, decided it was necessary to broaden cooperation. As the North Sea is relatively shallow, turbines can be installed fairly easily and in great number, with France aiming to have 40 gigawatts in offshore output by 2050.
Okay, so these are the updates selected for you on video. And let me conclude today's presentation by saying a few words. OLA, please, list the name of your delegation. Who will represent OLA's interest, Oromo's interest, with deep knowledge of Oromo's problem? As I said, Dr. Sagai Ararsa will be an important guy to consider for this negotiation or for future negotiation. So please add individuals, Oromos like Dr. Sagai Ararsa, as a team, as a delegation. He will be a resource for you. And the Ethiopian side by Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, please stop spending money, the country's limited resource on to intensify the war against OLA or against others. You said you don't want war, so please stop redeployment of forces and sending more forces to Oromia to fight OLA. Give a peace a chance, as you said. And you say nobody benefit from the war, so why you are sending reinforcement to fight the OLA? So that's a double standard, and stop playing around. Please give a peace a chance, and show us your trustfulness and your seriousness for this peace talk. Also let us know who are your delegation, who are representing the federal government of Ethiopia, just like you did for the Tigray region. So please, just be open, show us your delegation. Sudanese, we said so many times, please stop this craziness, really. You are inflicting a huge burden to yourself, to your country, and your relation with the international community. So stop this madness. Come to the table, truthfully, honestly, to end this very damaging war, very dangerous conflict. And, you know, I don't see any reason except, you know, the craziness, the greediness for power. So listen to the global community, end this conflict soon. So the impact will be minimized on the country, on Sudanese citizens and other international partners. And finally, I will repeat my appreciation for Adagnu Camera owner or Deru the Hararu. Great job, excellent job for helping the victims in the Tigray war. I know it's a very small donation, but the impact is great, and the meaning is, you know, very excellent, and you deserve appreciation. Thank you for doing that. Thank you guys for listening to me. I will be back with other news update. Be safe and so long.